Hope everyone's having a good day on this Valentine's Day. I'm Jamie, and I'm going to walk you through this week's tips and tricks. This is actually something that whenever we get new features, I try to find new and innovative ways to use them to try to help solve for, not having time, coaching, whatever you can do quickly to be able to use SymTrain to give you a result. And in this case, today, let me share my screen. Today, we are going to, hold on. We're going to talk about identifying practice behaviors with the Sim Results Report Playback feature. So before I kind of start, I want to make sure if you have any questions, please put them into chat and we will address them. And if the team here with SymTrain will let me know when there's a question, and we'll just kind of go from there. So as you all know, we have 6 different reports within SymTrain, and they all kind of do a little bit different things. I'm really going to focus on this Sim Results report today. This report is just a really super cool report because it can tell you a lot. And we have a new feature within SymTrain that on this report, that at the end of the report, you can see a little eyeball, and it allows you to go right to a playback of a particular sim for a particular user. But I want to kind of walk you through how I kind of use this report in a quick way, because let's face it, this report is awesome because it has a lot of options, but it can get a little overwhelming because there's lots and lots of data in it. So I want to try to make that easier. So first, I want to kind of take some time and talk about common practice behaviors that we look at. When you've got your agents on the floor and they're using SymTrain, we want to, again, listening to them. They actually have the ability to go and listen to their playbacks. Are they doing that? Maybe they don't do it every time, but I think it's a really great practice because not often do you have the ability to hear how we're coming across. And it's hard to listen to our own voice. I get that. But it can be so useful and so telling. But it's also a great tool for managers and supervisors and people who want to see how people are doing. So some of my most common practices for utilizing SymTrain is 1, envisioning the customer in front of you. This is the closest thing they will have to being live with a customer. Sitting up straight. I have to say, I do a lot of recording in SymTrain. I saw Kayla was online. I actually did a couple of lines for her, and you got to sit up straight when you're utilizing SymTrain. Act like it's real, because it is the closest thing that to the real deal. So all of that kind of matters on how you are delivering this information to really learn it. I always say it, practicing it with intention. Just like you would do with a sport that you're trying to learn or master, with anything you're trying to master. Having the proper voice for the conversation. So the proper volume level of your voice, projecting it, not shouting, of course, but a good volume. Some people naturally have a low volume. I'm not one of those, but some people do. And they might have to really kind of work on elevating that just slightly, so that it projects a little bit more confidence in their tone. Sometimes when you have that really low volume in your voice, the confidence level goes with it. And I will tell you what I just went over about, practicing with intention, sitting up straight, all of that gives you confidence too. Sense of urgency versus rushing. A lot of times when I look at these playbacks, I definitely notice that confidence is affected by rushing. I notice it when I do Sims myself. I realize that I'm not really having a sense of urgency with my delivery, but I am actually reading and going too fast. And that, again, it affects your confidence as well. Usually, sometimes when I see that, I realize that they just need to practice more. We tend to rush through things when we're not confident with it because we want to get it over with. Engaging versus just responding. So utilizing SymTrain as this tool where you can really engage in this conversation. That's how you'll get more comfortable with the conversation altogether, right? And being able to deliver the information, no matter what it is, with confidence with that. And then listening to the playback or part of it. Like they don't even have to listen to the whole thing. You can just listen to parts of it. Maybe they execute the simulation and you can go into the playback and listen to any particular script line. All you have to do is click on it. But again, I always say I always think a good time to listen to a playback or listen to part of one as a user is to do it when you feel uncomfortable and do it when you feel comfortable, right? Know what the difference sounds like. And actually can be pretty uplifting as well, because you're like, okay, I'm feeling better about this. And nothing feels better than that. Um, Let me go to. So I want to kind of go through here. So behaviors to identify. So look for the highs and the lows in the scoring. So when you go and you pull the reports, you're going to be able to, and I'm just going to flip back here to this other report here, because I want to kind of show you what it is. When you pull this report in SymTrain, and you've got all of this data here, you're looking at the numbers, you're looking at the highs, keywords or click scores, you're looking at the highs and the lows. And I actually sorted it this way so I can see where people have the opportunity to improve. So that's what you want to kind of do. Look at the highs and the lows of the report. And this will narrow down what you might want to listen to for a particular agent. But I want to be very clear that this is really about identifying behaviors, not a bad agent. It's just behaviors, because if someone is not projecting their voice, if someone is not practicing it enough to be proficient on the test, that is something. If one person in your class, training class, has that, or on the floor, an agent on the floor, an existing agent, if one person's doing it that way, there are likely others as well. Trying to identify the behaviors that are good and the behaviors that could be improved. And just by looking at the scores, go in and listen to it. Only behaviors, not bad agents. I already kind of said that, if one agent has it, they all do. Probably the most important thing on this screen is agents will deliver real calls like they practice it. And that's what's really important with this, to be able to make sure that they are really delivering this with intention in their practices, so that when they're on that real call, it just becomes their default. Like I said before, this report has a lot of data. So I always say, delete what you don't need. And I'm going to walk you through that process. You'll notice when you pull reports, sometimes you'll have NA at the bottom. That means that because this is a SIM report, it means that SIM is assigned to that person, but there is no data for an execution of that SIM yet for that particular SIM by that person. So I always tend to delete the NAs just because I want to look at what I do have data for. Are they always practicing and not testing? One of the things you can look at in these reports is you can look at if it test and practice. If someone is only just practicing and never testing, well, they're always going to have that script, right? So it's about practice. Or again, you could flip it. Is someone testing all the time and never practicing? Because really allowing them to get that full scripting, making sure that they are practicing it enough until they feel comfortable. And that's different for everyone. Sometimes for me, if it's a sim that I've never done, I don't know anything about it, it'll take me, 4 or 5 times just to get the flow of it. And then once I've done it that much, I find myself just really, it becomes the default. But like I said, there's a lot of information in this report. So making sure that you delete any of that you don't need when you're kind of looking at this. And so it kind of brings us down to the report itself. So I'm not lying, this has a lot of information. So we have basic SIM data. Again, this report is based on the SIM itself. So it definitely tells you who the trainee is and everything, but all of the basic information for the SIM, what type of SIM it is, whether it's a visual, audio, or a chat, what version. So I don't often find the version as helpful in this practice because a version is if you created a sim and then you edited it, it's going to create a new version of that sim. But for this, I don't find it as necessary. Practice or test, I like to always see because sometimes when I'm in a minute, when I go into SymTrain and I actually show you how to do this, you will definitely see that some people are practicing and then they're testing. And I've got a great example for you of someone who probably just needed to practice some more. Attempt number, how many executions? So if they're struggling and they only did it one time in test mode, that's kind of important to know that they only did it once. Again, I don't know. I certainly can't do something one time and become an expert at it and feel comfortable with it, especially when it comes to conversations, certain conversations. So again, these are kind of the action metrics, your time, performance, how long. Something I find really useful in this report is when I look at the different times a user has executed a report, I see that maybe it took them 5 minutes one time and it took them 12 minutes another time. I wonder why. Did they leave and come back? And those are little things that you can look for in this report that can maybe identify, again, nothing wrong with them leaving. Maybe they had to leave. Again, not about bad or good, just behaviors that could get in the way of them creating a muscle memory for this information. So I tend to use that quite a bit. Trainee keyword score, there's lots of scoring in here. I generally just look at the overall score percent, right? Is it 100 or is it lower? Hotspot percent, if this is a visual sim, you might have a click score. Again, so you can do the total score if you want, but I tend to look at more specifics of the conversation and of the clicking. Are they getting all of the click scores, but none of the conversation? Are they getting all of the conversation and none of the clicks? It's about practicing that enough in tandem to where you can do both confidently. So that's another kind of cue that I look for. And then we've got some voice metric data on the report. So the sentiment scoring. So confidence. Rushing can convey not being confident. I know for myself, when I rush through it, my confidence score is usually affected. Concentration. This is really a big one because when you're first learning something, it's hard to, feel a level of comfort and confidence in the conversation to where you have a level pace. So not having fast and slow parts in your delivery. And, again, making sure that you're engaged in the conversation. Treating this like the real deal because it is the closest thing to it. A lot of times that concentration is affected because of not really practicing with intention, I guess is a good use for that. But really kind of putting yourself and treating this like that customer is right in front of you or that customer is right there on the phone with you. Energy, appropriate amount of energy for the conversation. This is important. And one thing to remember with sentiment scoring, people often try to fix one or the other. You have to, if you get a lower score in one of the sentiment scores, you have to kind of say, okay, I need to address my energy, but at the same time, I have to maintain my confidence and concentration. They work together as a team. And that's hard, but here's the thing. There is an easy fix for it. Just practice it. That's all that it takes is practicing it more and being able to do that because naturally you become more confident with that when you practice it more. So that's generally going to be the answer, which is great because that's the more they practice, they will get comfortable. They will create this default with whatever they are learning in SymTrain. And then, of course, there's the team name, date completion, and playback. One thing I want to mention about the date completion on this report, if you want to pull data from this report and you want to see the data for today, you can, and this is a good way to do it. So if you're pulling the information for today, include yesterday, right, and today, and then go in and sort it by date. And then that will give you exactly what they've done today. And that would be good up until like 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then anything after that, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that would show on the next day's report. Okay, just a little cue there. But a lot of times you have a training class going on and you want to be able to see what they're doing today. Of course, if you're pulling it and your training class is on Monday, there likely wasn't any data from yesterday, so it would show you exactly what they had for today. So a little tip on that. So from that, I just want to kind of allow you to know that there are different filters here, and you'll be able to do this in SymTrain by date range, which is really great. A tip for that is when you're looking at these results, because there's so much data and you want to do it quick, do it for a shorter period of time. If you pull data from 3 months ago, well, if you are listening to data from today, well, hopefully it's a lot better today, right? So again, keeping those date ranges shorter, listening to it more often or a couple of them more often will give you a better gauge. And you can sort it by users. I'm going to show you exactly how I do that because I use that to be able to pull the information I want. You can pull it by a team. SIMs, I usually, from the report, I actually go and I get the SIM number. Type of SIM, I usually don't sort it by that, but that's often a good thing too if you had certain SIMs that you wanted to look at. And I always look at the table view, but I always work in tandem with the download of the report, and I'll show you exactly why I do that. Because a lot of people might say, well, why don't you just use the table view and just listen to it? But I'll show you exactly what I mean. So from here, I just want to show you that I download the report. I go into SymTrain and I download this report, and I'll show you exactly what I do. From there, I go in and I sort and I delete the columns I don't need. So I deleted actually the eyeball where it has the ability to, you could actually put it into your browser and you could pull it up from there. I don't do it that way. I'll show you why. I find it easier when I kind of use this information and then I go back and forth because I actually want to see when I put in a certain SIM number by a certain user, I want to see all the practices and tests they've done. So that's why I like to do it that way. And it lets me see all of them when I pull it up in the table view. But I just kind of sort it and you just kind of look through here. Are there lots of hundreds? Are there good scores in here? This might be what good sounds like. And this might be helpful. You can download these too, and you could share it with them and say, this is what it sounds like. You could actually download it and create a sim if you wanted to. If you had a particular situation where it wasn't as scripted and you liked how someone delivered it, you could actually do that. Pretty cool. And you have, I have some in yellow here. These are ones that, okay, they got 2 out of 8 keywords. Their sentiment score. And, I think maybe I might want to listen to this, see how they sound. Because what you're going to learn is that a lot of times maybe they got a zero on the keywords is because maybe their mic wasn't on. You can always tell if their mic's on because you can hear background noise. If you can't hear background noise, they likely didn't speak at all. And people might say, oh, well, they didn't speak. Well, maybe they didn't know how to run SymTrain. Maybe they were just a little apprehensive. So again, it's not really about good and bad. It's about behaviors, being able to give them the information they need so that they will practice. And then I just kind of go through and I just kind of identify a few in here. And I'm actually using our BDRs here at SymTrain so that, again, I just kind of took these and kind of looked at some of the behaviors. Of it. So that's how I kind of sort and delete, and I just kind of look at it real quickly that way. And then I listen and identify. So in the table view of the report, and I'm going to do this, I cut and paste the trainee name, find the sim that I want to listen to that I just identified. And again, you don't even have to make it that fancy. I just did here so I could show you. You can sometimes just go through and say, oh, this one's low. Let me listen to this one. It's as quick as that. Click playback, which is the eyeball in the table view. And then again, I'm able to kind of, I always make sure in the playback to toggle what was scripted versus what was said, because that actually helps me see the keywords and exactly kind of put myself in and be maybe in the experience of that trainee, of them executing that sim. So again, that is really what I do with this report. So I want to go here and show you. I've got a couple identified here, and I want to be able to show you exactly what this is. So what I do from here is I download the report, and I'll go through and I might find one or two. You don't have time to listen to all of them, but again, if one person has a particular behavior, others do too. So you're not wasting your time with that. So this is one, and I just usually just take the number of the sim, and I'm on sim results. So I'll put the sim here, and when you do that, it brings it up, right? And you click it. So this is one. So, and then you click them. And then I have to put the organization here. You wouldn't have to do that. So when I do that, it brings it up. So I have two of them here. And again, I could go back and find this exact one. It's the one where he got 100. There wasn't a lot of keywords in this one. So let me go here. And then I just kind of look at this. So I can tell he did them both in test. He did it twice. Took a little bit longer the second time. So that's where it's kind of interesting. It's like, but that makes sense. If you do it the first time and it's the first time you've ever done this sim, you would do it faster because, confidence comes with, sometimes you do things faster when you don't have the confidence. There was only one keyword, and his sentiment scores were really good. So then I would just go here and I would just pull it up. And that's why I do it this way versus, putting the link into a browser, because I want to see, have they practiced this enough? Would that be a consideration? And then I just go here, I click this toggle, I just kind of take a look, and then I just play.
This is John.
Hi, John. This is Juan Carlos with SymTrain. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time.
I'm actually driving right now.
You can kind of see as we go along in here that in here he's kind of got a long pause here with that. So there's lots of little things that you can identify.
My apologies. I hope you're driving safe. Would it be easier?
So I'm not going to listen to the whole thing, but you can kind of see where his pace is good. He definitely has a little bit lower energy in his voice, and that's something that you just kind of pick up. Everyone has different levels of that. So, but all in all, I felt like he was getting their attention, was not feeling rushed on that. And so you can really just identify some of the behaviors that they have. You'll also kind of hear also when they don't speak or they're not heard. Sometimes there's just a lot of they're speaking really low that it doesn't pick them up, or there might be a lot of background noise, which is actually kind of distracting. Sometimes you can't do it. Maybe they weren't wearing a headset on there, because you can have background noise and in contact centers and places like that, but making sure they got that headset on and with that. So that's one that you can identify. And again, once I kind of do that, I just kind of go here, and I've got one that I want to kind of show you, that I kind of identified might be a good one to listen to. That would tell me maybe, how is Stephanie doing this? So hold on. All right. So I just put the sim there. And then, all right, so I bring up these results. What I like about this one is I can see that she practiced this twice and she tested it once. And it took her about the same amount of time. So I like it that she's practiced it multiple times. Likely if I listen to the first one, I'm going to hear a little bit different. She got 46% on the keywords. So again, maybe some opportunity. But what I immediately notice here is that she has a 15 in her trainee score on her test. I can tell you right then and there that probably means she just needs to practice it more. So let's take a little bit of a listen.
Afternoon, it is David.
Hi, David. It's Stephanie with SymTrain. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time.
Kinda.
I will be very quick, David. I was circling back to CCW Austin last week. We were also there, but unfortunately,
I'm going to kind of skip here.
awesome. I was in the right way. Have you? Have a good day. Have a good.
So you can kind of
Fine.
hear that she definitely was getting the flow of it. She kind of started out right, but again, it's just really that she just needs to practice it a little bit more. Go back and get the full scripting and repeat it and practice those parts of the simulation, really get it down with that. And that's really what it tells me in here when I look at, she practiced it, she tested, and that's why I love to pull it up on the table view so that I can really see, what I'm looking at. So I'm going to kind of stop there. We only have a few more minutes. What questions do you have on this? Hopefully you found it helpful to be able to kind of look and be able to decipher this information and use it for something so valuable as in using it with coaching. Do you all, I guess maybe I'll ask, have any of you used this particular feature in the report? It's a fairly new one. It's been out a little while, but have any of you used it?
We're just now getting started on using SymTrain with our training and coaching, so we're excited to actually get that rolled out.
Great. That's wonderful. Yeah, this is a really good way, and it really allows you to kind of hear not bad agent, good agent, but really just hear the behaviors that people do. It's really a wonderful way to be able to coach someone.
It's a little eye-opening for me as the quality assurance director that I'm not so great at things because I don't test great, but I'm looking forward to it. To train my agents. So I'm looking forward to creating my sims and using it as a tool to help our agents further and really using it.
One of the
forward.
things, yeah, that's great. That's great, Deborah. It really can help with that. And I like the fact that you're going to, as you start creating, kind of doing them, you can kind of identify areas just by doing that, in conversations. Is this hard to say? Is this, does this resonate well? Does this script have enough empathy in it? Can they convey that? Or how are they conveying that? Thank you. Anyone else have any insights on this particular feature or report? Okay, well, like always, this is so exciting to do this. I felt like it was perfect timing. I don't know if any of you were able to join our CEO, Dan McCann, last week, and he talked about using labels for coaching. So I felt like I knew I was up this week on Valentine's Day, and I knew it was my turn. So I felt like this was a perfect kind of continuation of the coaching conversation. This is really where it starts, and you can go anywhere from a coach, using SymTrain for coaching, and then knowing what you need to do for onboarding, new hire, back office, all of that. So hopefully you found this helpful. They will send out a recording for this, and it will also be on our website. We do these tips and tricks every week. It's someone different most weeks. I believe Athira will be my partner next week. We're going to cover training plans, which is a new feature for SymTrain, which will allow you'll be able to see of how to assign sims, but also be able to assign metrics that the user has to meet in order to be able to get a complete on that sim. So it is going to be really exciting to go over that next week with you. So you'll see me again if you're here. Hopefully I'll see you again. But let us know if you need anything. Jamie@symtrain.com. If I'm not the right person, I will get you to the right person. But thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Bye.
Thank you, Jamie.